You're listening to Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex45, and we are continuing in this series, a trip down memory lane, as we discuss the 2003 MotoGP season here on the Be Forever Cool podcast. Last episode was really interesting and a lot of fun to listen to, so make sure you check it out. As I continue to do this, let's bring in our first guest, but more than a guest. TJ, man, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Rexy? Chilling.
I'm waking up, man. I think I should. I turned on my cappuccino making machine, and I didn't make one. And in hindsight, I probably
forgot about it.
Should have made one. We didn't talk too much last week about the Patriots. They took a L. What's good, man? It's cold up in the bean. What's good?
Yeah, we got some snow on the ground. Pretty much most of the East Coast anyway, but it's pretty cold up here. And I think my Patriots had a bye week last week, but, going into this week, we couldn't hold it up. But it was a good game. But we're still in the playoff hunt. We're still looking good.
Yeah,
so can't complain.
It's not good because for some reason my daughter is a Bills fan, and when the Patriots was up 21-something, I talked a little bit of smack. Then
28-7
after it was over, she's like, I told you so kind of thing. But it's all good, I like sports.
But yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, ready to talk about this 2003 season. I was just thinking about going down memory lane, like you were saying. I was back in high school, so it's cool to see where I was at and watching this, seeing like PlayStation 2 and all the good stuff on it as an advertisement. So it's pretty interesting.
I mean, TJ, I wasn't going to look at it like that, but now you got me thinking.
I have to look at it that way, because watching some history.
Man, listen, Lewis, man, I don't know what this guy is talking about. High school, what's good, Lewis, man?
I don't know, man. I was working full time at that time. I was already out of college.
You had grown folks problems.
Yeah, man. I was working about mortgages and reverse mortgage.
All that fun stuff, man. I'm excited to talk about the 2002 season as well, because I've learned a lot more by watching it. But how things with you, man? Where you are in the world, man?
Right now I'm in California. I've been traveling for like the last week, living the glamorous life of somebody in the motorcycle industry, sleeping in odd hotels throughout the U.S. and the world.
What's your worst hotel experience, if you can say?
Washington, D.C., man.
That's it.
I right at the top of the list. So usually when I go to a city that I haven't traveled to, I get a hotel for one night. Just in case the hotel's not good, I'll find another hotel the second night. And I got a hotel at this one place. It had decent reviews, like 3 out of 4 stars. I think they paid a lot of people to get it that high. It should have been negative 3.5 stars. Yeah, it was a really bad hotel. I actually ended up going to another hotel and renting another room at another hotel and just lost the money on that hotel.
Yeah.
So Washington, D.C., man, worst hotel that I could stay at.
I will say I had one in Jersey, but I think any hotel that's under construction is a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually not a good thing. Jersey is probably in the top 5 for my worst hotels. There's one particular hotel, anybody that's ever been to New Jersey Motorsports Park.
We're probably talking about the same one.
It's the Lack of Quality Inn, and right next to it is the Roadway Inn. Either one of those two is a great place to get bed bugs and possibly be involved in a failed drug transaction that ends up in a shootout.
Come on, man. Get in the motorcycle industry, people. You're going to love it.
It's nothing but glamour.
Speaking about glamour, the 2003 season, man, It's the second year for the 1000cc. Rossi has won his second championship in a row, and they're starting this thing off. And the cool thing is, if you are watching it, the commentators are back for 2003. And that's a good thing. But watching it, and I want to talk about the first round and the second round, because I watched the first round, and and I'm listening to the race, and one of the commentators like, so and so is getting med lifted to the hospital, and they go on with the race, right? And I'm just like, okay. And then the next race, Juvenile wins the race, and they're like, they win it for his former teammate who passed away 5 days ago. I'm like, the dude didn't survive. It's like, back then it's a lot different than when we see accidents now on MotoGP and how they deliver the message. I mean, obviously, social media is different and a lot faster today than that. But I don't know if you guys noticed that, just how that was delivered. Also, just the craziness of the Japanese Grand Prix, and riders, teammates that come and do the right thing for somebody who's fallen and winning a race, because he didn't win a lot of races after that. We start with you, TJ.
Yeah, man. What was that first race? Was that Suzuka? I believe it was that. But that was just crazy race, man. I mean, there's a lot of accidents, and like you said, the race kept going. And just like I was talking about the last season into 2022, I think the last race in Valencia, like someone got into an accident and everyone's just riding by them. So like, seemed like the same thing continued the following year about safety. But yeah, that's just not good at all. But just the way that they celebrated afterwards is pretty neat. Just to keep the spirits high and stuff like that. But
right.
But man, yeah, it's just the way the season started. It's these guys really risk a lot. And I mean, I don't know about like how the runoff and stuff was, but as far as like just the power ratio with the bike and everything, they did risk a lot. There's a lot of trial and error, I'd say, a lot of accidents, especially was in the back of the pack.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. What are your thoughts, Lewis, on that? I mean, TJ was in high school. I know you were watching it or might have been there. So
I think I was taking my arthritis medication as I was watching it. Well, in the last show, we talked about why eventually Suzuka was removed from the GP calendar, because it is a meat grinder of a track. I mean, it never had the appropriate amount of runoff. It didn't have the greatest layout. We used to joke back in the days that whenever we saw a race at Suzuka, it was like it looked like they were racing in the hallways of a high school, because it was just all walls everywhere. Even to this day, it's still considered one of the most dangerous tracks that you can race on. And obviously, as crazy and as exciting that kind of makes the sport, it's also like, you got to remember, these guys are risking a lot already. And the FIM and Dorna and all the protection, they have to really take these things into account when they certify a track to be a MotoGP track or for motorcycle racing in general, because you have to understand the speeds and the dynamics and when you crash, where you might end up, where you're most likely to end up. And there's always the chance that you're going to end up somewhere where nobody would ever think you're going to end up, but you could end up there. So you have to always think about these things. But yeah, it was very casual the way that they kind of just mentioned.
Yeah.
He won the race because, on behalf of his former partner.
Yeah.
Former? He not racing anymore? Oh, no, he dead. Damn. like there was no tribute before the broadcast. There was no nothing. There was no, he did. All right, next week we'll see you again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the race didn't stop, right? And I don't know, and we don't know if. And I was thinking about this. I'm like, did he die at the track? And they just said they med lift him, or did they med lift him and he died at the hospital, right? Because you don't. The race didn't stop.
I mean, the way that it kind of looked, they should have just made a hole in that corner and just dropped his body in there, because that's how they treated it. Like, nothing to see here, nothing to see here.
Yeah, and and we're gonna jump around, but there was like one race I watched, and I think it was Marco Melandri that crashed. He might have been in Bruno, and he crashed in one corner, but the bike slid across into the other corner, and he's like standing next to the bike while people are passing him. He's like not even trying to get out the way.
Breaking the number one rule of track day: get out of the impact zone.
It's just like,
I saw that at Donington Park too. They did the same thing.
It might have been Donington Park that he did it. It was one of these tracks with the chicane, fell into the other turn. So, but pretty wild. I mean, what do you guys thought on the cavalierness of the riders, right? Start with you, TJ.
You said, what do I think about the
how the riders and how cavalier they were, how fearless or not conscious that they can be taken out by another bike.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying.
Like, conscious because they just assumed their other riders are just gonna dodge them. I guess I don't know.
It was more of like it's just like I don't know, like it's just how Lewis was saying. It's like, oh, you didn't see nothing. So their mindset was just like they know what it could be. It was like you said, the meat grinder. It's like you're in a level of a group of riders. So like if you want to compete with them, you gotta roll with it. So at that time, it was just if you wanted to be a friend, you gotta risk a lot, and a lot happened. But yeah, the fact that you want to throw your leg over two rails. I mean, I see this is so addicting. It's like, who doesn't want to go racing? So I mean, I understand they reverse a lot, and I give it to them because they can now give us a lot more information to this day of what to say.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild to see. What are your thoughts, Lewis?
It was just a different era, like it's just, if you really think about it, we're just coming out of the 90s, and it's just a different era, a different way of looking things. There still was no social media. Nobody had smartphones. It was just a completely different mindset than today. Today something happens, it goes viral. Everybody gets to see it. It gets reposted. Everybody gets to post their comments. Back then, you only got your information, especially for MotoGP in the U.S.
Right.
You only got it during the broadcast. It wasn't like ESPN was talking about it afterwards or ESPN was talking about it beforehand. They weren't on Around the Horn. It wasn't on any of these shows that were on ESPN. It was just like, if you're lucky, maybe ESPN did a 30-second thing where it's like, oh, today at the Suzuka race, rider Dejaro Kato was involved in an accident and unfortunately passed away from his incident. I don't even think back then we even said thoughts and prayers. It was like, he's out. That's it. Move on to the next story. The Yankees beat the Boston Red Sox, 7-2 today. And like that was kind of it's glazed over. Today, because it's a more global sport, it's bigger, and more than anything, just the interconnectivity that fans have through social media and different platforms, something like that would not go by. I would say the first time a death became a really big event in modern MotoGP was the loss of Simoncelli.
Yeah.
Simoncelli happened in the day and age of social media and of easier availability to share content and share information with other fans or people of like-minded ideas. But before that, I mean, like I said in the last race, I mean, it was a meat grinder. If you could get through a season without losing a couple of rounds without a broken hand or broken collarbone, dislocated this, separated shoulder, you were already on your path to ending up in the top 10 in the championship just because you weren't going to miss any rounds.
Right. I will say it sounds like 2003 was the first year that the riders got together, or some of the riders got together to kind of deal with doing to have some kind of rules in place. As far as even listening to the commentators, they say Rossi was deemed the guy to say when we stop races when it starts to rain too much kind of thing, and the rider in the first place gets to say, hey, it's unsafe to continue and stuff like that. So to where it's today, those are the beginning stages where it's just kind of I want to say kicking rocks, but just kicking around ideas and saying, hey, we got to do something about this to make it a little bit safer.
Well, it's getting there now, even with the rain races now. If enough riders put their hand up during a race, then the FIM will take account and Dorna will stop the race. The MotoGP will stop the race. If enough riders raise their hand and like, hey, it's too dangerous, in the event that Dorna themselves doesn't red flag the race,
right,
the racers have the ability to vote by just raising their hands and saying, it's getting too dangerous out here. Back then, if the race started, you finished it. Rain, shine, frogs falling from heaven, locust infestation, doesn't matter. Either you all end up in the hospital or you finish the race. But we're going to broadcast this thing until the checkered flag comes down. That's the way it felt like.
Right. Oh, no doubt. So let's, as we dive further into it, I have to point out that there were not a lot of Spaniards in MotoGP in 2003, 2 to be exact. We had, I believe, 3 Italians. We had 8 Japanese and 4 Americans. 2 Americans were both rookie, Nicky Hayden and Colin Edwards. Nicky Hayden won the AMA championship the previous year, and Colin Edwards won the Superbike championship the previous year, coming into, MotoGP. I mean, will we see anything like that? We do have 1 Japanese still in MotoGP. I don't know if we'll see 3 or 4 again. And there's no Americans in MotoGP right now. We see a lot of Italians, and thanks to Rossi, if his crew wasn't there, it'll be like all Spaniards. You think the Spaniards were upset in 2003, TJ?
I mean, yeah, I think so. They was, you see now, they're just trying to find. They got all these programs for these young kids now. They made sure they would make a difference. But I don't think we'll see that many Japanese riders again. The competition is just too close now. So you got to be on a different level. Like we were saying, that riders been getting lapped back then. So it was just the competition too close. I don't think we'll see. Not to say that they're slow, but it's just the competition's too close. It's kind of like you got to make the team now.
Yeah. No, I gotta say, competition, the tech. I mean, it's different. Lewis, I mean, seeing highlights on Rossi, and I don't want to say the highlights are spun in his favor because he put in the work, but Sete Juvenal, give him more. I have a lot more respect for him now watching this again. I mean, I know I watched it a long time ago, but it was glossed over it back then, and because he was a lone man fighting for everything for a while. I mean, Checo was there, but it was really him, and he took a lot of it's almost like Allen Iverson standing over Ty Lue. You know what I'm saying, after the shot, what I mean? It's like he took a lot of heat for not being able to dethrone Rossi.
Yeah, he took a lot of heat, but Rossi was pretty much on the podium every single round.
Yeah.
And Sete Gibernau, he was kind of he was in the top 4 for most of the rounds. He had 1 retirement. He had 1 race where he didn't even finish in the top 5. So he was the closest one. But at the end of the day, he also lost by 80 points. So that's, almost 4 race wins difference in points.
Yeah.
Rossi finished first, second, or third in every single round. And even when he fell back as far as 7th or something like that, in that day and age, you could make up a 8-second difference with pure talent and just outriding people. It's not like today when you fall back, 5 seconds, that's it. You're done. There's no way you're going to catch up to the guys in the front because you're fighting for tenths.
I mean, Marquez did it earlier this year a couple of times, and seeing and obviously Rossi did it first, but watching Rossi do it, it's just like, oh wow. who else did I see do that? And in current time, right? And it's just like not a lot of people, but one dude stood out.
The cream always rises to the top in every generation. You know, like the guys that have the ability to win will always rise to the top. But when you've seen like Marquez run off the track, he might finish in third or fourth, but to go all the way back to win in this day and age after running off track, like a significant run off track, not just running wide, but running off track, it's really, really hard. Again, we talked about it. The aero devices make it very difficult to pass because they cause buffering when you're behind people. Like you have to do these dives, these lunges. You have to have a little bit extra. And even with that little bit extra, you can only ride 3/4 of a second or a second faster lap than everybody else for so many laps before your tires disintegrate. And now you suffer some other stuff. So it's almost like back then, guys would ride the like they would say, they would ride the tires to their threads and be able to win. You can't do that.
You know? You know, it was nice to see them slide sideways, lighten up that rear tire.
But 2003 was a great year for Sete Gibernau, and 2004 started as a great year. Maybe we'll discuss 2004, but 2004 was the year where the Rossi curse on Sete Gibernau came in. And he never won another race again, never did any significant impactful riding. Like, you know, Rossi pretty much made it his life's mission to make sure that Sete Gibernau never sees a podium again.
Right. Well, I would say it's not just Sete. It's also Max Biaggi. I mean,
Max
Jesus
Biaggi as well.
I can see why the man don't smile when he's in the paddock to this day. It's just like because he's the the Dovizioso of our time or my time as far as watching the sport or when I got into it, where you're second to Marquez. Max was second to Rossi in the 500cc the first year, I believe the second year as well when he won the second title, and these guys, I mean, they're giving it all they got.
Yep.
They're not leaving anything on the table, so it's pretty impressive. TJ, what are your thoughts on, the rounds and seeing, Biaggi, Caparossi? We'll talk about Hayden, because Hayden was pretty impressive what he did as a rookie, coming in as a rookie and being signed to the factory Honda as a rookie. Marquez has done that. Pedrosa has done that. Acosta didn't do that. Aldeguer didn't do that. A lot of these young riders, and none of these young riders have done that since Marquez.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty impressive to see Rossi put up the fight and how it wasn't so easy, even though it was kind of like a little easy for him, and just see the riders that gave him a challenge. So to see Biaggi up there and give him challenges, and Caparossi, if I'm saying his name right, and Sete, it was just really cool to see how hard they were trying just to, get that championship. And it's just crazy to see how, Lewis was saying, you got to have the talent and you can make up a lot of time. And just watching Rossi, like we were talking about how he went through gravel and just weave his way through the pack. It wasn't always peaches and cream every start for him. Sometimes he was down in the middle of the pack, which is probably the worst place to be. And he found his way out, and then he played a really smart game and kind of let them wear themselves out, So I guess make it seem like they had the chance to win, and he played a smart game and let them make a mistake, and he always found his way through. Right. But just watching those guys was pretty cool, and especially Nicky Hayden. I guess he was always top 10. They didn't really show much on him, but I always heard his name. So it's pretty cool to see.
No doubt. And he towards the end of the season, he did finish out strong. Lewis, man, what are your thoughts on, Rossi, Hayden, what he was able to do coming in as a rookie, being Rossi's teammate, and the way he handled it, because he got faster as the season went on. He didn't implode like we see some of these young riders coming in, like some may say happened to Bagnaia because Marquez came on. What's your insights on what Nicky Hayden was able to do, and again, just the overall season?
Well, first, I think he came into the correct manufacturer, because this is when, this is at the time when Honda was super dominant. I mean, Honda was super dominant for a very long time. And even in this day, this 2003 year, they were still the dominant team. They were still the dominant motorcycle. If you look at the people in the top 5, 4 of the top 5 were Hondas. The only outlier in the top 5 that was completely unforeseen was Loris Capirossi on the Ducati.
Yeah, we want to talk about that.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah, but Honda was the dominant bike. Nicky Hayden was a Honda rider. We spoke about it earlier. From here back then it was AMA road racing.
Yeah.
He was a Honda rider when he was on a 600. He was a Honda rider when he was on 1,000. Like, he won a championship on Honda. And this is also the day and age when a champion in the U.S. could get rewarded by being elevated to MotoGP. Like, there was a pathway kind of set between the U.S., World Superbike, and MotoGP. So U.S. riders could find their way either to World Superbike or MotoGP. Colin Edwards, for instance, went from the U.S. to World Superbike to MotoGP. Nicky Hayden got lucky enough where he kind of skipped the World Superbike step and went right to MotoGP. And again, it was because of the mix of them going to a 4-stroke type engine, which is a more conventional engine, similar to what Nicky Hayden was used to riding. And the tire technology and the overall motorcycle technology was a little bit more aligned to a superbike. So you could make that jump and not have to get used to hitting 17 different buttons every lap and, all these weird things that happen now in MotoGP, which make the bikes a little bit more unique to ride. But he took great advantage of it. He was in the top 5. He had a couple of retirements. He didn't start too great. He had a couple of good races to start. But then as the season went on, I think especially being Rossi's teammate, one, Rossi didn't see him as a threat. So Rossi probably helped him more than he would have helped somebody else. Because if you're not a direct threat to him, he doesn't mind helping you. As soon as you become a direct threat, that friendly level turns off, because now we're in competition for money. We're in competition for different things. So I think he helped Nicky Hayden get through that first year. He had a lot of support from Honda itself. And it was great to see an American rider kind of like, oh, man, we might see an American rider win a new American rider, not a Roberts or not somebody else, but like a new American name at the top of the pile. And it sucks. Like, I wish we still had that elevation, that stairway to MotoGP in the U.S. I wish there were some more U.S. flags on the MotoGP calendar next to the racers' names. I mean, you said it earlier. I mean, it feels like 60% of the paddock at this time was Japanese.
Yeah.
And for Spaniards, there was only 2 full-time riders that were Spaniard, and there was 1 part-time rider that was Spaniard. So at this point, Spain wasn't a big factor here. You had a ton of Japanese, and you had, a good mix of Italians. But now it's, Spanish and Italian, 1 French guy, 2 Australian, 1 South African guy. Like, it's not as big a mix as it used to be. And it's one of the things I think that MotoGP needs to address, because it's a global sport. And in any global sport, you want to see someone from your region of the world that you can support. I like a lot of guys, but it doesn't mean I want to support only guys from Spain. I'd love to support an American rider. I don't think we'll ever see a Canadian rider unless he moves to Spain and becomes a Spanish rider.
Hey, listen, as I found out, John Hopkins, he's British, because you can't rescind your citizenship even though he was born in the U.S.
What is he? What was he again? What did they call him?
Anglo-Saxon.
Anglo-English. Anglo-English. No filter back in 2004, man. 2003.
Not one bit at all. I mean, it was a different time, and it was interesting because and we'll talk more about Ducati after this. But it was interesting here saying Honda 1, 2, 3 again. Honda 1, 2, 3 again. It was like Honda was just giving everybody the business, and we saw that Biaggi and some of these other riders are saying Rossi had the best Honda. Similar to what we're saying now about the difference between these Ducatis and stuff like that. Although we're not saying about KTM and Yamahas, but it's the riders that feel that they should be number one. And they're not, that are saying, somebody else must have a little bit more juju or sauce than they do.
Well, this was also the time that the rumors started swirling around about the fact that Rossi was getting those exact tires from the tire manufacturer.
Yeah.
So, and there, it has been found that there's some legitimacy to that because they did admit that they would give Rossi tires as part of the development deal with Honda to make the tires work better with Honda, but he would get them before anybody else. So he would have a little extra sauce in the tires that nobody else had because he was developing the tires.
As he should.
And it just happened to work out that the development tires were just a little bit better than the non-development tires.
a little bit. But let's talk about Ducati, right? Because Ducati, it's their first year in MotoGP. They've been in World Superbike. And, for a brand coming into MotoGP, I don't think a new manufacturer is coming into MotoGP and had a better first season than they have had. What are your thoughts on Ducati? Only 2 bikes, a guy from World Superbike that's won some titles, and Carlos, not Checker. Is it Checker? Checker was on he was he was on the other Ducati. What are your thoughts, TJ, on how Ducati did their first year, getting the bike on the podium and all that fun stuff?
I mean, that's pretty cool to just jump into from World Superbike into MotoGP and be front running. I mean, to have 2 bikes is good enough. I mean, right. You still see that now, but
oh my bad, I cut you off. It was Caparossi that was on the Ducati, not Checker.
Caparossi and Biaggi, is it?
No, Caparossi and Bayless.
Bayless, sorry. Yeah. But just to see, it was cool to see that just for them to be up front a good portion of the season. I mean,
Caparossi finished 4th overall.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very good. I mean, I could just see now, just having that expectation and where Ducati is now. I mean, just to be up front, you see they have all the technology right now. Right. Pretty much.
They weren't fast in the rain though.
No.
And the commentators let you know. Let us know.
Yeah. Ducati was water in the rain.
Go ahead, DJ.
I was to say that rain back in the day is just definitely a different breed, especially on the bikes that they were on. But watching that flag, can't even call it a flag, the flag race, but the couple of rain races where it was dry in the beginning and then they had the pit to change. I know that was just how Rossi was in the lead, and that just sucks because he ended up winning. No, I don't think he won that race, but it's just still the rain demons. You got to find out who's the good rain riders and stuff like that. So back then it's a little different.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. What are your thoughts, Lewis, on Ducati and first year in the championship and being able to finish 4th overall? Oh, not overall, but in the championship.
It's not surprising because if you look at what the bike they use as the prototype baseline bike that they made the MotoGP bike from, if you look at World Superbike and you look at the list of achievements that they did in World Superbike, 94, 95, 96, 98, 2000, 99, 2001, 2003, they had been winning in World Superbike year after year for many years and been super competitive. So really what they did is they took the base of a bike that they already had and just kind of adapted it to this new model, the Desmo Sedici, to race it, you know, and I don't think they deviated too far from what they had originally to what they brought to MotoGP. So they did have some instant success, because if you look at the other companies that they were fighting against at the time, you know, Suzuki hadn't had a World Superbike championship in a long, long time, or a MotoGP championship. Kawasaki, same thing. And at that time, you know, it's Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha. And for that particular year, a lot of people will tell you this is when Yamaha started going through some serious struggles. They didn't have the competitive bike anymore. When they adopted, you know, when they moved to the 4-stroke engine, they kind of fell off very deeply. And this is why eventually, you know, later on season, Valentino Rossi leaves Honda, goes to Yamaha, and all of a sudden redevelops that bike, makes it a championship bike. And it becomes the Honda Yamaha competition years, where everybody else is racing for whatever Honda and Yamaha don't achieve.
Right. And Max Biaggi left Yamaha to go to Honda for 2003 because he got tired of coming in second place on that Yamaha.
Well, and the same thing kind of happens is Rossi leaves Honda to go to Yamaha to prove that not only can he make a better bike, he can win on two different manufacturers, but, you know, again, another slap in the face of Biaggi. I'm better than you because I was able to take this shit box and make it a championship bike. Right. You have my championship bike, and I'm still beating your ass on the shit box you couldn't win on. Yeah. So, you know, it's not written that way, but come on. You know, in the back of Rossi's head, I'm like, this is exactly how it's written in the back of his head, you know. Right. And between Biaggi and Sere Gibernau, like, trust me, Rossi has gone out of his way to make sure that he writes his history of, like, shitting on his competition as much as possible, with pure talent.
You're right. And you know, you said Louis, you said that you know, Rossi smiled in public and was serious behind closed doors, but he really did smile. He really, when you saw him out, he looked like he was always having fun. You know, and maybe he knew he was the most prepared or just the most talented guy out there. But he, you know, the chain and ball celebration and all this stuff that he was doing, you know.
When you're winning, you're smiling, and he was winning a lot. You know, if he wasn't winning, trust me, he wouldn't be smiling. But when you're winning and you're dominating and you're doing anything you want and you're putting the bike everywhere you want on the track, you're not having any problems. You're finishing every race. You're not having DNFs or retirements. You're going to smile and you're going to find ways to enjoy it. And one of the best things he is, which not a lot of racers are, he's a great marketer. If he had brought that same talent in the age of social media, how much bigger would he be? I mean, he's massive now in an age that didn't have social media. Like, how much bigger would he be if today he was only 21 years old and he was racing today?
Yeah. That's
you know,
true.
So this is something you have to consider is Rossi became Rossi in a time when the only way you can learn about him is somebody actually called you or saw you face to face and started talking to you about Rossi. Did you see that race Rossi did? Not tweeted about it, not posted it on Instagram, like actually had to talk to you like a human being. And millions of human beings talk to each other to the point where he became this icon.
Yeah. And, you know, listening while watching the races, they were talking about, you know, why Rossi didn't take the number 1 plate. And Rossi's favorite rider is Barry Sheene, and Barry Sheene didn't do it. And so Rossi didn't do it. Which is pretty impressive and you know, interesting how he moved, right? Because he wasn't as arrogant as you know he could have been.
Yep. He probably was. He just wasn't in front of the camera. Because in front of the camera is where you win the fans. And if you make the wrong moves in front of the fans, you know, that costs you popularity, that costs you money, that costs you in ways that you can't buy. You know, that's publicity you can't buy. But when you do fun things like the ball and chain, when you do fun things like all these other things, now you're buying cachet that you can't buy any other way, no matter how much money. I mean, that ball and chain thing probably costs, you know, $200. Right. to come up with that. Or the stopping to go to the porta potty, you know, that costs nothing. just the idea and the concept that if I do this, fans are going to get a kick out of it. It's going to get put on, it's going to become a little bit iconic. And then even his helmets, coming up with the different designs for different tracks, for different events. Like, this is all stuff that he kind of really pioneered.
Right. Yeah.
I was going to say also, talking about no social media and the fans, just watching these races back in the day, like, it was, you could just see like you had to be there and wanted to be there. Opposed to like now where you can just watch it on TV. Like, it's something where if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah.
But the fans, it was packed. Like still to this day it's packed. But like back then, I could just see, like, Rossi brought a lot of fans. It was great for the sport, but it definitely was packed. Something you had to see.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to bring up about the crowd, the fact that they had to cancel a couple of the trophies celebration because they were rushing the field on the cool down lap.
Yeah,
and it was just kind of like, it was just like, oh man, they do this at all the tracks.
That's crazy.
It was definitely that soccer mentality. Like, that European soccer mentality was very, very big at the time. Now tracks have kind of wrangled that in a little bit. I mean, after the race is over, they do let people kind of come onto the front straight if they're having a podium celebration. But back then, it's not like the track had a choice, man. Like, there's 200,000 of us, and you got like 8 security guards. Who you holding back, man?
and these riders, I mean, they weren't like going through slow either.
No.
What's going on, Reese, man? Welcome to the show. How you doing, man? You came on to the show, and I got a chill blowing in the back of my head. You got that, look like you're cold wherever you are.
It's -7, man, where I'm at, so you can have this crap.
I don't want
it. Trust me, my fingers hurt.
Oh, that's definitely once when I was building out my trailer, cargo trailer, I had my daughter helping me out typing out. I was wiring, and she was on a little labeler. She was typing out all the different wiring for lights and all this stuff, and then she hands me one, and I look at it and it says, "I quit." So you might have to send a little note in on an ice cube or something.
Man, for real, it's cold, man. I've had a day.
I hear that. Hopefully it won't be for too long. Yeah, man, we're talking about 2003. What are your thoughts on the 2003 season? Overall, all the craziness, all the different crazy stuff that happened back then. But what stands out to you?
I mean, honestly, what stands out to me was what Lewis said, because there was no crowd control. They just ran out on there, man. They didn't give a damn. I mean, that was like, it was more of a rock star thing. Like, it was just, as soon as it's over, we're bum rushing you. That's it. And we're bum rush like they do in college. They bum rush the field, want to knock down the goal post, and it's more like that. But now, like, you can't. It's 200,000 of us versus 8 of you. Who's gonna stop me?
Okay. Not a soul. No, that was pretty crazy to see. Let's see a little bit about your thoughts on Nicky Hayden as a rookie coming in, being signed to Honda. I don't know if you caught any of what Lewis said about Nicky Hayden over here in the U.S. was on Honda for like 6 years, so it was a no-brainer. But we haven't seen a rider go from Motor America or AMA straight to MotoGP on a factory seat since. No,
you haven't seen that in a while. I mean, the last person that ever kind of even remotely was close was Ben Spies.
I was going to say that. Was he on a factory, or was he on a satellite the first year?
First year he was satellite. Yeah. Yes. Factory on World Superbike, and then went satellite GP.
Right.
But then you got to remember, Josh Hayes went over there, never did the World Superbike thing, went over there as a substitute rider and went top 10. I think he went 7th place that time.
MotoGP?
Yep. Go look it up.
A wild card rider.
Huh? All right.
So did Garrett. Garrett was, I think, top 12, something like that.
So, what was it with U.S. riders then? I mean, I think I think I have an idea what you guys are going to say back then versus now, because it seems like, the struggle is real. And I think we're in the U.S. are feeling like how the Spaniards felt back in 2002, 2003, not having enough flags on the grid to where they dominated the grid for years to a point where Rossi had to get his own team. And we see what we're doing now in the U.S. to try to get folks back over there. But, what are your thoughts?
I mean, we were missing before. Like, if you looked at it, we were missing a lot of that feeling, like where the young kids can come up. It was almost like a stepping stone where it was a stage, like we didn't have like the Europeans, they have like the smaller bikes, the pocket bikes, you want to call it. And then they go to the next stage. It's like 125 to 250. They keep going up. And if you even over there, you can't even, if you get your motorcycle endorsement, you can't even go get your motorcycle endorsement and just jump to 1,000. You got to go up in increments to be able to get to the 1,000. So I think that's what we were missing over here, especially after was that Daytona Motorsports Group screwed all the AMA up, and then COVID happened. It just, we were missing that stage to actually put them on. And then, substitute. When DMG messed everything up, the Europeans didn't even take us serious. And if you actually look, they weren't even taking, even now with Moto America, they weren't even taking the Junior Cup class series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why they went to the bikes they're on now with the Kramer.
Oh, okay.
That's almost like a moto, their entry level bike. That's almost like their 125 and stuff like that. It's more of a race bike design than versus like the Junior Cup class.
Okay. All right. Before we get you all lined,
look at security.
Huh?
Live look at MotoGP security back in 2003. That's about the security level that most of the tracks had back then to stop people from storming the track.
So if it was
cheap up broke.
Hey, man.
It ain't lasting no time.
There's a good and bad that come with that, man. It's good to be able to experience it. From my understanding, I don't think anyone got hurt while any of the MotoGP races were happening. It's not on the track anyway, but it was pretty wild. For that to happen. And I guess we can see where we are. Although, Mugello, you still do get to go on the track and some of these other tracks, especially this year. They after the cool down lap, they've been letting people on. So it's good to see that again and have that experience. Yeah, Reese, Troy Bayliss and Caparossi on a Ducati's first year. Caparossi finished fourth in the championship that year on a Duck. It's a pretty good year for a Ducati, man.
What you trying to say?
I think 2003 was a good year. That's all I'm just saying. For their first year in MotoGP compared to, KTM. I mean, I don't know if it was Aprilia's first year. And we'll talk about Edwards as well, because he didn't do as well on the Aprilia. And it looked like Aprilia struggled, but Edwards was on a factory bike as well. But, what are your thoughts on Ducati, though, Brice?
No, I mean, that was a good year for them. I mean, there wasn't a lot of electronics. It was pretty much all up to the rider back then. It was all in your wrist. So, I mean, with those guys riding, and they were exceptional, coming into the field, and Ducati just had a bike that they can actually run and ride. Nobody else had a bike that, guys could really ride, could really tame that way or have that natural talent. So, I mean, I think that was a good year for them. And then it just seemed like from there on, it was kind of like lost.
Yeah. I can say that they definitely struggled for a bit.
Because there was only one person that could ride that bike. It was only one. There was only one person that can ride a Ducati, and that man's name was Stoner. After that, there was nobody besides that. Give me a name.
Dovizioso.
I'm talking about before Dovey came in.
Oh, well, I mean, you got these guys in 2003. Caparossi and Bayless lasted until 2006. And won race finally in 2006. 2006. He did come back in 2015, but he didn't win that race. Which is also pretty wild in and of itself. Kawasaki Proton. I mean, they switched from a twin to a four cylinder. We had the V5s in there. Engine characteristics I'm hearing about. I think Kenny Roberts lost some money on that Proton. He probably should have went to a Yamaha. We see Bitmoto or Bimotor in with Kawi and World Superbike. Will we ever see anything like this again in MotoGP where we'll get Renault may partner with somebody and bring a bike out or something like that?
I don't think so. Besides CF Moto, that's about it. I mean,
but they're already making bikes, so.
Yeah, but that's about it. I don't think anybody else is going to prototype coming out. I don't see anything coming down the pipeline. Not that what I can see in the future right now. Not unless bike sales starts coming back into play. That's the biggest thing.
No.
Bike sales are down real bad.
Might be some motor enthusiastic rich person out there. What are your thoughts, TJ? On you mentioned this last week on the show as well, the Proton bike and stuff like that. Would it be cool to see? I mean, it might be cool to see. I guess if you're not competitive.
You got to start somewhere. So, Proton's been around, so it would be good to see some type of manufacturer try to make their way in. Like I said, like CF Moto is definitely merging in different ways. So it could be kind of like that. But yeah, it would be good to see something else, I would say.
Nice. Lewis, anything you want to add? And I mean, there's rumors of BMW coming, but it's not the same.
I mean, the top three rumors right now are Suzuki looking to get back into paddock, CF Moto looking to get into the paddock. Of those three and BMW, or those two and BMW, I would say the very first or top one would probably be CF Moto, just because they have very, very deep pockets. Behind them, I would say Suzuki, only because Suzuki has been in the game, and I know Suzuki. This has been a rumor for a long time, but they really are planning on launching some new models in 2026, going into 2027, that would align with them trying to do a big marketing push to get these new models out there. And at the bottom, I would say BMW. I don't think BMW has big aspirations to go to MotoGP that fast. I think they want to stay in World Superbike. I think they see where their bread and butter is. If their bikes are winning in World Superbike, if their bikes are winning in regional Superbike classes, that directly attributes sales of their BMWs at the dealerships. Versus, if Yamaha wins in MotoGP, it's not like I can buy an M1. Can't buy an M1.
You can if you got some $1 million in your pocket.
And I'll never ride it because I don't have an engineer with me that's going to explain to me how these buttons work. So, I think BMW is seeing kind of the writing on the wall. Yeah, we'd like to be in MotoGP because there's a prestige to being there, but there's also a huge cost. And how does that correlate to the sales of my motorcycle? Because Honda is there and Yamaha is there, and they're not selling more R1s or CBR 1000s. When R1s and CBR 1000s start winning in World Superbike, they'll start selling more bikes in the street, and vice versa, then it'll grow, So I think BMW will stay where they're at. I think CF Moto, if they want people to take them as a serious brand, because even though Chinese companies make incredible products, for a big swath of the world, they're still looked as the cheap manufacturer. Like this is where you go to buy things made cheaply. And they actually make really quality products. They make incredibly good quality products, even though it looks like they're stealing parts from a Ducati, parts from a Honda, and parts from a Yamaha and putting them together to build a bike. They're still building quality bikes. So they're the ones that more than anybody else needs that world stage to show off their prestige. And then Suzuki, they're a brand that's been in MotoGP several times. The last time they were in MotoGP, they did have success. It's just they don't have as deep pockets as some of these other companies. So unless they're going to go there with a heavy sponsorship deal that's going to keep them in the game for an extended period of time, I mean, they can win. Their last Suzuki was a 4-cylinder bike, inline 4, built off a GSXR platform, and it won. It handled great. It rode like it was on rails sometimes, and it won races, man. So when they left GP, it was actually really sad because it's not like they were a struggling motorcycle company that wasn't races.
No, they were at the pinnacle.
Yeah, I would like to see if CF Moto doesn't come back, I really would like to see Suzuki come back into the paddock with the right sponsorship, with the right deal. Like, they can't sponsor themselves. Like, they can't be the Suzuki bike that's all Suzuki branded. Like, they need a strong partner to partner with. And if they can do that and they can sustain it, they can lease bikes to another team and they can have 4 Suzukis out there. Because I really do believe that, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Honda are 3 names that need to be in MotoGP next to Ducati. And if KTM goes away, I could care less, man. I would not lose a wink of sleep if I never see a KTM in a MotoGP paddock again.
Oh, man. I like KTM.
I mean, I got to piggyback off of what Lewis said. I mean, that's the reason why Kawasaki's not there. Everyone's like, oh, Kawasaki needs to come back. They were so heavy focused on World Superbike and not spending the money of $1 billion over there in GP that doesn't sell them any street product. Where your World Superbike sells your street product because it's actually something people can walk into a dealership and buy.
So what is the brand selling for in GP if it's not selling bikes?
It's actually selling. It's not selling anything. It's actually everything that GP produces or comes into play. It kind of supposed to be figure out a prototype. It's supposed to be a way to figure out how can we make this into a consumer product.
Right.
Because where Yamaha, I think what Ducati was doing it for a while first, but then I know Yamaha really excelled in it, which was the yard and access point, the 6 points of measuring. All that is a Morelli system coming out of F1. We've been using that when I first started in 2014. That's all it is. It's Morelli system figuring out how to now make it into a consumer product.
Right.
I mean, unless you want to go spend $4,000 on a Morelli system and then $400 an hour for trying to figure out how to work the damn thing from tech service.
Seems like a lot of work to go fast, but For Miyamoto's. Speaking of Miyamoto's, Sete Juvenile, Max Biaggi, Caparossi, and Checa. I mean, do you think these guys' career would have been different if, Valley would have sat out a few years in MotoGP and, any of these guys had a chance? I mean, Max finished twice in second place. Juvenile finished in second place, so it's possible they could have, but points, they were down on points. What are your thoughts on those 4 guys? And if Michael Jordan stopped these guys from winning championship, these are some guys that were pretty fast that Rossi said not today. What are your thoughts, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think all they needed was Rossi just to make a few mistakes. I mean, he made mistakes, but like Lewis was saying, like he had barely any DNFs. So like if he wasn't in the season, I think it would have been a good fight still. Seeing Sete, Juvenile, putting all their names, but like he was pretty impressive throughout the season. He put up a really good fight. Even though like he didn't win a lot of his races and stuff like that, but Caparossi and Biaggi, they all look good. I mean, if Rossi wasn't there, I don't know who would won. I mean, like, let's see. Biaggi came in second, Caparossi in third. So yeah, this. I mean, Biaggi obviously put up more points, but if Rossi wasn't there, I think it would have been a different story.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add my 2 cents. What are your thoughts on that, Reese? If Rossi wasn't there and these other guys, I mean, they still got to look themselves in the mirror, and.
I mean, of course they would have had more points. I mean, that's just like Jordan and them. When Jordan wasn't there, everybody was trying to go win the championship. It's the same thing. So if Rossi wasn't there, that was dominating or getting the special tires. I mean, yeah, of course.
Special tires, special bike.
Right. So of course they would have won. They had a better opportunity. Their career might have been longer. Might have been a different scenario. But I mean, when you have someone there that is like Jordan or Rossi, the face of the brand or the face of the company, and someone that is portrayed as the next big thing or the next generation or, something like that. I mean, of course you can't, you got nothing to compare to. There's nothing to compete against. I can't, Jordan's was the face of the NBA and Rossi's the face of MotoGP. You can ask people nowadays and still the name Rossi will come up. You're like, dude, he's retired. Move on.
All right. What are your thoughts, Louis?
I got a question for all of you. What makes a win more special? Winning against somebody that is super dominant and then every once in a while you beat him, or every weekend somebody else winning because nobody's dominant? Because this is the two dynamics that you're looking at. For me, if there's one person that's super dominant and I beat them that weekend, I'm going to thump my chest a lot because, man, I beat the Michael Jordan of my sport this weekend.
Right.
But if we fast forward to like 2 years ago, when it was Bagnaia this weekend and Martin this weekend and this other guy this weekend and this other guy this weekend and this other guy this weekend, and there was no consistency, anybody could win every weekend, there was no special weekend because anybody can win every weekend. If you have to go in and fight a supervillain, not a villain of the week, like a supervillain, and you beat that supervillain, there's a little bit more swag because you beat the supervillain. Like, I didn't beat like the entry level boss. I beat the boss of the stage.
I mean, I don't know if the last couple of years, Louis. I mean, they was mostly Martin and Bagnaia winning, not like a whole bunch. But I get what you're saying. I will say this, and then Reese and TJ can jump in. If you fancy yourself to be one of the best, you want to battle against the best, right? But I'd rather be, Djokovic or Nadal going against Federer than Andy Roddick. No disrespect to Andy. I love you, guy, but you got one.
I think, let's put it this way. I think as a competitor, for instance, this year when Bezzecchi finally beat Marquez in a straight up head-to-head, I think even though it's a win and he's going to be super emotional, just knowing that on this day, I'm the best rider in the world and I beat the best rider in the world, you just kind of lift your head a little bit high.
Oh, yes, for sure. But I think
if
you
he
want to
beat
sustain
Martin,
it. Yeah.
It's like, I beat Martin.
I can see that. I mean, I can see that because they came up to Moto2 together and stuff like that. And I think Bez feel like he's a better rider than Martin. I mean, you know what I mean? And so I would see that. And
he himself even said this year when he did beat Mark in some head-to-head battles that, it felt different knowing that he beat Marquez.
Yeah.
Because you're beating on that day, you're beating what's considered the best person in that sport, period, at this moment.
So you're saying these guys, then they all feel pretty bad and have nightmares about it.
They should have nightmares, man, but they shouldn't, because it's not like you lost to Jorge Martin. You didn't lose to you didn't lose to like stage 1 boss. You lost to the top boss. You didn't lose to Zangief. You lost to M. Bison. You know, you didn't lose to Katana. You lose to Shao Tsung. You know, like you lost to the top boss. Everybody loses to the top boss, and you keep putting quarters in the machine until you learn the pattern and you beat him. And then when you beat him, you feel good that you beat him.
Yeah. All right. TJ, anything you want to add to what Lewis said?
No, I mean, I agree to that. I mean, I'm the type of competitor that I want to beat the number one guy, and it's just gives me more motivation after that. And if anything, if I don't do well or for the future after that, at least I can say I beat that number one guy and you did it. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like a milestone.
Right? Yeah, you want Rossi to look at you and be you gotta respect my ride.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so but I guess it's just the way the sport's going. You know, a lot of people want to see a lot of top riders, and right now it's just been back and forth. And I guess just the entertainment that we like to see nowadays. And yeah, I mean, I do like the one dominator where it's just like, all right, somebody got to beat this guy. You know, like basically, I'm a Patriots fan. You know, we won so many Super Bowls, or like, you know, you like the Ducatis. Like, you know, Ducatis was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, so
say that again, TJ. What about them Ducatis? On the grease.
Well, you know. You know, I say you Ducati
complex.
So yeah, I do like to see that, but also, you know, it's just the way our sport's going, where you gotta have multiple things to root for instead of that one.
I hear that. Reese, you want to add to that? I mean, you already know you guys are the top dogs, and the people are coming for you. So I guess you kind of know what that feels like.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you're going against the top dogs, I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And it's just like back in the day, like Mad Max used to say, you know, going against Jordan that night before, you could, you know, you got to get some sleep because you're going against the top dog. But it was hard to sleep because it's on your mind. But you got to go to bed. You're not going out to party. You're not going out and do this. But it's what in line with TJ and Lewis said. I mean, I want to beat the best. I'm a competitor, and if I want to say I'm the best, I want to beat the best, you know, and it's just I want to beat you. If I don't beat you, then how the heck am I going to say I'm the best? Okay. You know, how can I say that? You know, I can't. I'm just second banana.
I hear that. Speaking of the best, and we've been talking about Jordan a lot. Jordan went up against NASCAR, and they settled. And these guys had to sit shoulder to shoulder next to Jordan and let Jordan talk first while they kind of agreed to everything Mr. Jordan said. I don't know the ins and outs of what happened, but it sounds like, you know, it's a good look for NASCAR overall. What are your thoughts on, you know, Jordan taking up the French family and trying to change how teams make money and stuff like that? And can we see that in the future? Because we've talked about it on the show, how, you know, teams can make money and survive in the motorcycle racing. Is there anything that can possibly trickle into the motorcycle business from that? Because Jordan says, you know, you got to treat it more like the NBA, where, you know, the franchises also got to pay out the players a little bit more than just a salary. You know, we'll talk with TJ, and then we'll go around the horn and see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to like look more into this, but like that's crazy. It's good news that that Michael Jordan's even being mentioned with NASCAR, you know, so.
Jordan has a team in NASCAR, 2311, and his team and one other team brought a lawsuit against NASCAR for monopolistic practice. I might be jacking up that word. Running a monopoly, and teams can't make money from that. So that's pretty much the gist of it. But it's not easy when you're going against a giant like, you know, NASCAR or the NFL or NBA.
Yeah, I mean, So what are you saying? Basically, it's a settlement towards Jordan for the situation because, like, I didn't really heard about it. That's all.
All right. Oh, we'll let the other guys talk about it, and we'll learn together.
Interesting. Yeah.
Let's go, Louis. You're ready.
So, as somebody that lives in NASCAR HQ, Charlotte, North Carolina, this has been big news since the lawsuit was originally filed. And really high-level synopsis is the way that NASCAR works is you have to re-up every year to continue working with NASCAR. So you have to keep registering. So in the NBA, for instance, you own the team. And you become a profit-sharing partner with the NBA if you own the team. In NASCAR, there's charters, and every year you have to renew your charter with NASCAR to stay in the paddock. So you own your team, but your team never accrues value because there's no longevity. If you don't sign with NASCAR or they don't renew your charter, you can't sell your team for shit. So your team as a team could never build value. Like if the Dallas Cowboys every year had to go back to the NFL and ask, can we stay in the NFL? That the Dallas Cowboys would not be worth, $2.5 billion or whatever they're worth. They would be worthless because every year you're at the mercy of the NFL if they want to keep you. So now take that to another level. We mentioned this in another episode. NASCAR itself owns most of the tracks that NASCAR races on, or they require those tracks to sign exclusivity agreements where they don't let other competing brands race at those tracks. So there was another company that was trying to build a competitor to NASCAR in a similar type of stock racing. NASCAR went to all the tracks that they don't directly own and made them sign exclusivity deals. So these teams couldn't compete on those tracks, limiting where these companies can go race. So these are all anti-competitive practices, and they're a little bit of a monopoly. What they were suing for was a little bit more of the profit sharing, but the most important part was getting rid of these charters. If I have a team and I'm in NASCAR, my team is part of NASCAR forever. I don't have to keep re-signing up every year. And by doing that, now my team has equity as being part of NASCAR, so it can build in value over time. And if I ever want to get out of NASCAR racing, I can sell my team just as I would sell an NBA team or an NFL team or an MLB team for millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And even in the NBA, the NFL, or so forth, if these teams fall under a certain threshold, so like the town isn't showing up, your attendance is down, the stadium's not building, you can move the team and do other things, but you still own the team. So this was one of the biggest things is if you own the team, but you're not permanently a fixture in NASCAR, you can never build equity in the team. And this has been like this for a long time, and it took someone like a Michael Jordan that has a big name that can take it out to the public and say, I'm not going to sign this shit because my team has been here for so long. These are anti-competitive practices. This is a monopoly that you have here. And for all the years I've been investing in this team, and this team might make money, this team is never going to build equity over time because I have to keep coming back to you and begging you to stay in NASCAR. Like, this is anti-competitive. And this is kind of like the main structure of the lawsuit. So now they asked for 4 specific things. They got 3.5 of the 4 things that they wanted in this settlement. So they have permanent charters now. So now you are permanently part of it. They get more money on the international distribution deals. They get more money when their likenesses are used by NASCAR for promotion or to sell NASCAR events. So overall, this is really good for the teams because the teams now have equity in the sport and they can build the equity in their own brand within the sport. And it's amazing that for this long, this is the way. I mean, this is the vice grip, the stranglehold that this family had on NASCAR for all these years. You know, people just didn't want to lose the ability to be in NASCAR, so they would just sign these charters. They would sign these less than profitable agreements just because they didn't want to lose their spot on the NASCAR grid. So it's amazing that Michael Jordan is such a businessman that he took what he applied in the NBA, and this is, again, why so many players in the NBA make millions of dollars now. not just on the field, but not on the court, but also off the court with sponsorship with deals. And he took that same bulldogged, method of thinking, and he forced it into a sport that one is not really known for being very accepting of certain races.
Nope.
There's a lot of Confederate flags that still fly over all these NASCAR events when you go to them. And it literally took an African-American player to go to these white boys and be like, yo, you guys are getting screwed by these other white boys. Let me show you the way. So I hope that next year we see a few less Confederate flags and we see a few more jumping man flags, because he really is changing the dynamics of NASCAR from this point moving forward. NASCAR now is going to be in a better position to grow and for the teams to actually grow than it's ever been before.
Right.
Because most of the teams actually work on a loss. Like there's teams that have been around for years, and the only thing that keeps them in business is the other businesses that those people own that help them keep this business going.
Right.
Michael Jordan's the hero. That's crazy. I didn't know that was the case with NASCAR. Like I don't follow the sport like that, so I didn't know like it was that crazy to stay in it. And hopefully this changes a lot too. Hopefully we see more different type of riders and stuff like that too. So.
Well, the thing is this. The thing is this is that the way Jordan went about it, and the people that talked about what NASCAR was going to do and how this wasn't going to work. I mean, they got to eat crow now, because there are a lot of people speculating that NASCAR was going to win the lawsuit. And this wasn't going to go in Jordan's way and stuff like that. And again, I don't know if they're part. I hate to say it like this, the Good Boy Network or the Good Old Boys Network or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people thought Jordan was crazy for doing this. And again, not to say he doesn't need the money, but he really doesn't need the money. But he's just like, yo, we can either blow this thing up or we can build it together. And, it makes sense to build it up and blow it up. And the French father dude is just right next to him while he's saying that. I know this man must have been beside himself.
No, it was, a lot of other teams that signed those charters really did not give any, like they thought Michael Jordan did not have even one snowball's chance in hell of breaking this monopoly. They would just, this is the Good Old Boy Network. This boy ain't gonna come in here and change our sport. All right. What he did is he actually he took the curtain and opened the curtain and let the fans actually see what happens behind the curtain, how the Wizard of Oz really works.
Right.
And he wanted to get the lawsuit into court, because once you get into that lawsuit territory, you have to go through depositions. There's discovery. So all this stuff comes out. And even in the emails that NASCAR had to provide, literally had emails showing what they were doing to keep the stranglehold in this monopoly. So not only did Michael Jordan really expose the dirty secrets of NASCAR, now the fans can see it. And Michael Jordan also exposed it to a new fan base that wasn't part of NASCAR.
Right.
So, I hope, Motor America doesn't have NASCAR money, but there's a lot of shady shit that happens behind the scenes at Motor America as well. Like, I've been hearing rumors that there's guys that have been waiting since Laguna Seca for contingency money from Motor America. Now, if this is true, like, why does somebody have to wait half a year to get their contingency payment? Why do these teams need to pay these exorbitant fees? Why do what other things are happening? So this could just be the first domino to fall, where people are starting to see, well, wait, Michael Jordan did that in that sport.
Right.
How does that apply to this sport?
That's pretty much what I was asking. What are your thoughts, Reese, before we get out of here? Good luck for NASCAR and maybe might get into your sport.
I don't really follow NASCAR that much, but it seems like a good look. It's someone that peeled the curtains back, like Lewis said, behind the scenes, and actually let people see what's going on. So, hopefully it does trickle down to our side and, boost the sport up even more. Can never hurt.
No, you can't. You can't.
If y'all don't follow sports that just go left. Y'all corny, man.
I'd rather watch paint dry.
I will say the couple of road races they have are really exciting, man. The couple of NASCAR road race course events that they have, those are really exciting.
A couple.
It takes a lot of skill to go bumper to bumper next to other people.
200 miles an hour.
And have that trust and not get claustrophobic when you're boxed in on the inside. Oh, man. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming on. Next week, we're going to be talking about 2004 season. So definitely check it out on MotoGP. I want to thank everyone for subscribing, liking, and commenting. We appreciate it. We appreciate the kind words. Shout out to Corey. I really appreciate the kind words. We're doing our best here to keep everyone entertained. It's always nice to hear that people are appreciating what we're doing and stuff like that. So we're on the right page. So definitely excited for what's to come. I want to shout out Reese from Attack Yamaha, the real Luis Ortega, the numbers guy, TJ with 2 Wheels and Coffee. My name is Rex45. It's the Be Forever Cool podcast. Peace.
Peace.